Good morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. It is kind of a dreary day, kind of a damp day. So I'm not outside. I don't expect to spend too much time outside, except, of course, walking the dogs. Good morning, it's Barbara. Oh, I already said that. Thank you for joining me for coffee. It is still morning, only a few minutes to go, though, to tell you the truth. I hung out in my bed for a little while, but I also went and found that Cormo I was talking about, thinking about making it into a Montrealer. Now, I had this on my mind. Now, it's greener than this. This is looking more blue than the actual color. It's actually a little bit greener. And I would actually almost call it green. That's how much greener it is. But I had swatched it up for something. I don't remember what it was for a sweater, obviously. I have 5 skeins of this, and this is what it is. It's, well, let me do this. Is the label. Elemental Effects Cormo. USA Yarn Company, homegrown, hand-dyed, and spun in the U.S. And this is the back of it. It's worsted, 100% wool, 250 yards per skein. I have 5 skeins. It says, Cormo wool is a long, staple, lustrous fiber that is soft against your skin. I checked it. A favorite of hand spinners, this fine fiber is now available as an easy-to-love knitting yarn. Be pleasantly surprised by the inherent springiness of the yarn, the soft hand, and its resistance to pilling. Sounds like the perfect sweatshirt. All right. So here it is. It is perfectly lovely. I think it will be fun to knit, just as the John Arvin was. It's a little greener than this, yeah. And, you know, it's funny, holding it up next to my camera where it's showing so blue, it makes what I have in my hand look really green. So, yeah, interesting. Interesting. How green. It is teal. It's a dark teal, but on the green side for sure. All right. Well, I already did a swatch. I'm going to undo this swatch and re-swatch because who knows, you know, my gauge is not consistent enough to like use this as a swatch for something I'm doing now. So I will just unpick this and swatch it off the swatch again and see what I get. It's supposed to be 20 stitches to 4 inches. So we shall see. Now, I actually have a note for this vlog, which I never do. So I looked it up. The Montrealer, it's, I didn't write down the name of the designer. But in the pattern, it's a man wearing the sweatshirt, and it's a striped sweatshirt with, you know, a main second color and then like 1 or 2 stripes of a third color. But the main color uses 15, and I need to measure myself again, but I want it big and oversized like I did for Isabel. I made hers very oversized for her, and I want it oversized for me too, which means a lot of yarn and a lot of knitting. But, you know, if it takes me 4 months to knit it, I'll be knitting for 4 months. That's good. And in 4 months, I'll have a sweatshirt. And in 4 months, you know, 4 months is going to come regardless of whether I make this or not, so I might as well make it, right? It reminds me of the argument when I was going to school part-time because I was a full-time mother with 2 children. And, you know, figured out that it was going to take me 8 years to get my associate's degree at the rate I was going. And I'm like, 8 years? And then I thought, well, you know, in 8 years, I'll have an associate's degree. Those 8 years are coming, you know, so I could either have a degree or not. Anyway, that's how I'm feeling about this. It's starting to look like a lot of knitting. Well, I know it was a lot of knitting. Isabel's was a lot of knitting. I do not remember what size I made her. But the size I'm thinking that I want to make takes 1,500 yards of the main color and 450 of the 2 contrasting colors. And these skeins are 250 yards, so I have 5 of them, which gives me 1,250 yards. Which means I'm going to need 3 or 4 fingering weight skeins, held double, to supplement this yarn. And I'll tell you the truth, I have some beautiful yarns up there, you know, just like Leslie from Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast, you know, single skeins that are so gorgeous, and I'm just going to put them together. I'll put them together and I'll make something beautiful. And I need to think about if I'm going to have like a neutral and then a color. Or if I'm just going to go crazy and put 2 colors that I think will go good together and see what happens. You know, I'm really leaning toward that. I think you can figure that out. But it'll feel good to use 3 or 4 skeins of those gorgeous yarns that I've had forever. It's time to move them on. Anyway, I'm really thinking about doing this Montrealer. Yeah, this is going to be just lovely. Just lovely. Just lovely. So I dig out a size 7 needle, which is the needle that it calls for. And see if I get gauge. 20 stitches per 4 inches. And am I doing the wrong end? I do that all the time. Anyway, I'll stop. So yesterday I read a lot. So I have this series of books. I wanted to talk to you about them, and the first one's called A Murder of Crows, which is the word for a group of crows. You would think it would be a flock, but it's not a flock, it's a murder. But I couldn't remember the name of the author. So I thought, oh, you know, I'll look up the name of the author. And I went out on Barnes and Noble under their Nook, you know, to just Google A Murder of Crows. There must be 50 books titled A Murder of Crows. If you didn't find it, I'm not shocked. Although I did tell you the character name, which would help. Nell Wade. But anyway, I wrote down the name of the author, Sarah Yarwood-Lovett. And I read the third and fourth book yesterday. I read 2 books yesterday. They're not super big. I'm a fast reader. I'm a bit of a skimmer. I started early. So I finished the first book around 7 o'clock. And it was a cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger. So, more spoiler alert. Book 3 is a cliffhanger. So, yep, I was doing the wrong end. So I had to read book 4, but I thought, okay, it's 7 o'clock when I finished book 3. And I was thinking about the day before when I had stayed up too late. I had started that book at 9:30, which is, I know, a bad idea. Why I did it, I cannot explain. So I thought 7. Well, I got done about 3:30. So I would be done at 1:30, and that would be okay. It wouldn't have actually been okay because I have trouble falling asleep after reading, finishing a book. So finishing a book at 1:30 in the morning, doesn't mean I'm going to fall asleep at 1:45. However, I decided I was going to do it anyway because, that's how I roll. It was a cliffhanger. So anyway, I read the second book. No, I read the fourth book, and I was finished at 11:30. They are not thick books. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I am on the list to, now I had bought 3 and 4 because our library didn't have 3. It had 1, 2, 4, and 5. Why wouldn't it have 3 as a electronic book? I have no idea. So I had to buy 3 if I was going to read it electronically. And then I was on the waiting list for 4, so I just bought it too. So anyway, I'm on the waiting list for 5. But I'm like 7 weeks, 8 weeks. No, more than that, because there's 7 people have it on hold and they have 1 copy. So that's 14 weeks. So I'm going to buy it. But anyway, I wanted to tell you the name of the author because just telling you Mischief of Crows is not helpful. Sarah Yarwood Lovett. And I'm really enjoying it. She's a biologist, an ecologist. And yeah, and I'm enjoying them. I'm just letting you know, especially if you can get them from your library. All right, so I think I'm gonna swatch for the Montrealer and for myself and see how it goes. But obviously, if I'm going to be knitting 2,000 yards, it's a big project. I'm knitting a bigger size than I knit Isabel because I want mine to be oversized too. I mean, I could almost wear hers, I think. I didn't actually try it on. I don't know why. I should have. She's 10. But I wanted it to be big. Sloppy. That's what she likes. And as she grows, it'll just get less sloppy, right? That's what I'm thinking. I don't want to grow. But if I shrink, then mine is just going to get more sloppy. And I think that'll be okay too. So I ended up wearing my Corian all day yesterday. And I took it off and put it on my stool because, it's my sitting around the house thing now. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to wear it all day, every day, I might need another one. Well, my sweatshirt will work in the same capacity as my Corian in that it will keep me warm while I'm sitting around doing nothing. So maybe I can think of it a little bit like it's my second Corian. But yeah, I wore it all day yesterday. I'm like, oh, cozy. I'm so happy with it. And it's cool now. You can see I'm even wearing a shawl. This shawl I'm wearing. I thought I remembered. This is, I think, the first shawl pattern that Stephen West posted. And it's free. From all those years ago when he first started, and I don't remember the name of it, but I will look it up. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a striped shawl, as you can see, and as I recall, I called this my random shawl because I rolled dice to decide how many rows to do the next stripe. Oh. Maybe I'll do that with my Montrealer. It was fun and it came out beautiful. And yeah, maybe I'll do that with my Montrealer just to change things up. But I do know that the top, all the way down to where you split for the sleeves, is going to be strictly the Cormo. This Cormo is gonna hold it up. It's gonna give it substance at the top. I've learned my lesson. And then the Superwash Merino fingering weights will be lower and not have to hold the weight of this more substantial yarn. So I will be knitting in the Cormo for quite a while before I start adding stripes. I can put stripes in my hood. That'll bring some of that color up higher. But I am going to take the lessons I have learned in my knitting life and apply them. That's what I'm going to do. Boneyard shawl, maybe something like that. The Boneyard shawl. I'll look it up and put it below. And I'll also put the link to the Flame and Fiber Zoomies Facebook page down below again, just in case you're interested. And you're welcome to join the Zoomies even if you don't Zoom with us. If you can't Zoom with us on Saturdays, or you're not a Zoomy kind of person but want to be part of the group, you're welcome to. I haven't gone out and looked. Megan texted me pictures from the wedding. So amazing. And I'm sure she's posted some on the Zoomies, so I'll have to go and look and see what she's posted. But yeah, so I'll put a link to that down below. And I'm going to remind you once more that Saturday is our next Zoom at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I need to be thinking about what my May looks like to determine what works for me for the May Zoom call. So, yeah. Come on Saturday. It's so much fun. I'll be working on my Montrealer, I think. I'm assuming. We'll see. Meanwhile, I'm going to go. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please, please stay safe and stay sane.